The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors, and tonight I got a very special guest making his third appearance, correct?
Number 3, yep.
Pro wrestler and new dad, Joey Kilmartin. Nice to see you, bud.
Nice to see you too, Leo. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. And you moved up a couple weeks for me.
Yep, no problem.
In a couple weeks, hopefully, Anthony Catino will be able to make it in here.
It's actually convenient. I'm right in Nashua now, so
yeah, no, that is great. It's funny that like when you bought your house and stuff, I was like, that's awesome.
We're not too far from each other either.
Yeah, you're right near my work.
Yep, yeah. You can throw a rock at your work.
You should see it real quick what I'm doing at work this week, right? The gym is like really high. We don't have a parquet floor. We have just tiles. So there's no like basketball games and stuff like that. We have basketball hoops. But the walls up top haven't been cleaned in 10 years, so they gave me a lift. Stuff is like this thick. That's what I'll be doing for like the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, but at least it gives you something to do. You're not bored.
I'm not complaining, but it's crazy how it's disgusting. All right, so let's do some fan questions.
Yeah, it's a good start.
All right, Christopher, I'm going to probably pronounce his name wrong, Varrier?
Sure.
All right, Tank,
boom.
Yes. What was your favorite gimmick you've ever performed as? And he says, love Tank.
I miss Tank. I love him. He was a great guy. Very fun to be around. I never really had a lot of gimmicks per se. Fun story, though, I thought of when I did see this question. I once wrestled as the world's biggest midget. It was great. Yeah, and it was probably one of the best paying gigs I've ever had.
Nice.
I don't know if you remember Micro Brawlers, I believe it was.
Yes.
Or Micro Championship Wrestling, something like that.
They were on TV.
Yeah, and they had that crew with that Johnny guy, and they came and did a show at the Everett Rec.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't told much other than I was booked at the Rec, and I showed up, and sure enough, there was a bunch of midgets. And I walked in and introduced myself, and they told me that it was great. I beat up 4 midgets.
Nice.
Before the giant pharaoh came out and chokeslammed me, for beating up the midgets.
Right.
So it was very fitting.
Yeah.
But it was fun,
That's pretty awesome.
I got paid to kick 4 midgets in the face, so that's not something a lot of people get to say.
Yeah, and Giant Pharaoh doesn't do a lot in the area anymore.
No.
I know he was doing some up in Canada, right?
Last I checked, he was going up there with Jay, but that had to be.
Oh yeah, well, nothing's going on now.
But even that was, I want to say 7 years ago when you know what I mean? But it's amazing how fast time goes.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he didn't get picked up somewhere though because of his size. He wasn't. I mean,
he can move. He can move.
He was pretty good once he had a few years under his belt.
Yep.
All right. Big Bear Matute says, ask him how it was when he first started wrestling and who your biggest influences were.
I mean, my biggest influences locally were obviously Jason Rumble, everybody, Dave, DC Dillinger. On TV, I always looked up to like Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, so I always tried to take after them more than anybody else. Starting wrestling was different. I started my sophomore year in high school, so
that's young.
I was young.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't. I don't want to say the best environment for me, but it was a culture shock.
Yep.
That's one way to say it. But it was good. I have no regrets about it, that's for sure. I would do it all again in a heartbeat.
All right. Thanks, Big Bear. And thank you, Tank. Bo Douglas chimed in with a bunch of questions. What was his favorite thing to be thrown into and through, and by who? So who threw you through it?
The only one that really ever had the pleasure of throwing me through stuff, it was almost like he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
A little too much, but would be Bo himself. The ceiling fan was definitely a fun one, which was actually my idea. I told him, if you don't throw me into the ceiling fan, I'm just going to keep kicking out. So finally, he picked me up and said, it's your funeral, kid. And threw me into the ceiling fan. And
nice. Was it running at the time?
No, but there's only one way to take a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
That's head on.
Head first, huh?
Yep. But it was fun. That was definitely fun.
And where did that happen?
We were somewhere in Lowell, I believe the Club
really?
Lafayette.
Okay.
But I have a great picture of it on my Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
It's an
I'll
awesome
check it
picture,
out.
yeah.
All right. Bo also wants to know biggest lesson learned through training. Great question.
Things that are hard or worth doing, probably.
Yeah.
Nothing worth doing is easy.
Right.
And if you stick with things, you'll get great results.
Nice. He also wants to know short and long term goal for when wrestling returns, because I know you had just come back.
Whew, it's hard, you know. It's coming back was incredible. I wrestled a lot for NCW, but in a way, it was very different than when I left, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of different people,
right,
and unfortunately, a lot of opinions. And you know, when I was wrestling, when I started in 2010, everybody just kept their mouth shut.
Yep.
And you didn't have all this drama on social media. It was more of a healthy place. Social media is definitely, like everything else, hurt wrestling.
Right.
Because there's too many people coming in the business that shouldn't be in, not getting any training and thinking that they belong and thinking that, you know, they have an opinion. That everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that doesn't mean that
they have to give.
Everybody has to give it all the time, everywhere.
Absolutely.
You know, when I used to sit in locker rooms, we didn't talk about much other than our match.
Yep.
Wrestling, stuff we were going on the road, things we were trying to do.
Right.
I remember coming back and hearing people about politics and all of this.
Right.
Then you got people saying things to you on Facebook. You see them in a locker room, and they don't even have the guts to look you in the face. It's like, I don't know. So my thoughts on wrestling are I always love wrestling. I love storytelling in wrestling is what I really love. So it's hard to find that on the indies too. But so I don't know what my long-term goals are. Okay. It's hard to tell. I don't want to say I hate the business, but I miss what the business was.
Right.
You got, I guess eventually we're going to get into it, so we might as well now, but you got too many people with the Me Too and all of this. I don't want to say it's bull and all talk negatively about it, but it's really taken without. So say I have an ex-girlfriend that's mad about something I did 3 years ago.
Yep.
She can say whatever she wants.
Unfortunately, yes.
And all of a sudden my bookings are canceled.
Yeah, that's
without any evidence. You have people whose whole careers have gone to trash. Joey Ryan, for example. I don't know what happened really.
Right.
And it's really not my business. If I like your body of work, I mean, I'm not saying beat your girlfriend, but what happens between you and a significant other is not my business. It doesn't define who you are as a person.
Right.
It's between two people. There's two sides of a story.
Absolutely.
And there's a truth, and there's a truth in the middle.
Right.
So you're just going to take what anybody said about somebody, and not do any investigating and even if you're going to do investigating, what are you going to rate a social media post?
Right.
That's still hearsay. You're not there. And you have no right to cancel somebody's entire career. I'm sorry. You don't.
I know a lot of guys that feel the same way.
Shut your mouth about it.
Right.
You have a problem, and if it's that legitimate and you're that upset about it, take it to the authorities. Don't take it to social media and involve. You know what I mean?
That's where I agree 100% with you on that. I mean, if you're going to do that, then you should call the authorities.
Yeah, what do you have?
Why you can't just go out about and ruin people.
What do you want? Attention on Facebook to say this person hurt my feelings?
I'm sure some of them were.
And it's sad because I've seen people that, and don't get me wrong, there's people out there that absolutely don't deserve to be in the business. They're complete scumbags. And that's one thing. But there's people that I know that have had things said about them, and I've been there for them. And I know certain things are inaccurate, and it's certain people don't want to take the time, or nobody really takes the time. You just see what the worst of what somebody says. Right. And that sticks, and then you associate that with that person. And it's disgusting.
It's totally disgusting. I absolutely agree with you on that. Bo also wants to know his bonus question. Can you outdrink Brandon Langley? Brandon's a pretty big kid.
See, he's obviously not just asking for shits and giggles.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
He knows that you can.
Yeah, there was a night up in Maine where I might have thought I could. And I learned I couldn't. Yeah. But it's okay because the front lawn's a great place to sleep. And you wake up and you drive to the next show and you learn your lesson. But I will say, if there's a different type of partaking going on in the room, Brandon knows not to touch me in that one.
I think I know what that one is.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites too.
Yes, that's. I think if I stick to that, I don't sleep on lawns. It's much better for me.
Right. Seeing that you've been around the business for a while, quite a while.
Coming up
now.
on 10 years.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been around the business. The first indie show I ever went to was Cold Fury 3.
Okay.
In Lowell, Mass.
Yep.
So I've been around the business my whole life, really, in some capacity. And
you're from Lowell.
Yes, I grew up in Lowell. Yep, I grew up in Lowell.
Okay. I bring this up real quick about the wrestling return. Did you hear that one of the greatest from New England ever is coming back to wrestling full time? John Walters.
John Walters, I read that today.
I figured bring that up because, I mean, I was a huge John Walters fan. I still am.
John's amazing.
Great news.
I've had the opportunity to train with him a few times at the original Bell Time Club in Everett.
Yep.
I've seen him just in passing before, and he's not only is he a great wrestler, he's a smart guy and a very great person to talk to about just life, and his political stuff is no gimmick. He's a smart person. He is. He's very well-rounded, and he does what a lot of people could learn a thing from and take the business as a business.
Yes. Very great. That was perfect. Describe John Walters, really was. And it's great to see him come back. I can't wait to see wherever he goes.
And he didn't even pay me for that.
Exactly. He didn't have to, though, because you're right. He is a good guy.
He is. He's a great guy.
He is one of the legit good guys. All right. Referee Kevin Quinn.
Mr. Clean. I love Quinn.
What made you get into wrestling? I think you've already said it before on one of your appearances, but...
what made me get into wrestling? It was kind of one of those things, as cliche as it sounds, is I was always going to get into wrestling. It was just a matter of how.
Right.
Me and Kevin used to sit in the front row at chaotic shows. You know what I mean? Back in like 2007, 8. And, he was brutal. He would heckle all the wrestlers. He was awful.
He told me
he doesn't want people to know that, but he was an awful individual to those poor wrestlers.
He'd do push-ups.
Yep. Oh, because he's and it's not even like he's in better shape than, that's the thing, is the referee's in better shape than half the wrestlers. I used to go to the gym with him when I first started wrestling because I said to him, I was like, well, everybody else looks like a pile of crap.
Right.
I'll go with you. Yeah.
But he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. If we never wrestled again tomorrow, I'd still call him.
Right. Nice. What's your favorite match?
Like my match or like a match?
You can say both. Why don't you say both? Yours or whatever you like.
I don't have a favorite one of my matches. They all suck. I'm terrible.
All right. Okay.
My favorite match overall is God, I really don't know. I've never actually thought about it. I probably have a different type of match depending on the mood I'm in. You know what I mean? There's a lot of matches. I like some old Ring of Honor stuff, some old TNA, a lot of the high spots.
Right.
Piss Jay off a lot and watch those. But I don't have a match that really I sit down and I guess if I had to say was before I ever wrestled, I went to WrestleMania 27.
Okay.
And
is that in Boston?
No, that was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I decided, I knew I was going to get into wrestling soon, and I decided before I, expose everything, I should go and see it as a fan. So I went to the Georgia Dome, which was a beautiful building, and I went to WrestleMania 27, and the energy I knew it was a terrible WrestleMania, but the energy and just the specific Triple H Undertaker match, that one was always just a personal favorite, for that stupid reason that I was there. And I'm sure if I watched it back, it wouldn't be anything special. But.
No, actually, that match from WrestleMania was a good match.
I mean, it was the only thing decent on the card, really. But there was a Rey Mysterio, Cody Rhodes match from that night that was really good. But God, at this point, I've seen so many wrestling matches, so many good, bad, everything in between. And
well, you brought him up, Cody Rhodes. What do you think about Cody Rhodes and AEW and all that? Are you glad to see that there's competition and more wrestling?
It sounds very cliche, but I hated the WWE product, and I came back to wrestling because I wanted to, be around my friends essentially, and I missed the wrestling and the aspect, but AEW's really made me watch. I can sit down and that's really the only thing I watch on TV these days is AEW. Like it'll take me 4 days, but I don't sit still. That's my problem. But that's definitely, if I'm going to follow something, I would follow the New Japan product for a while, but it's hard if you're being honest, unless you want to sit down and watch every match and the English commentary and, more credit to the people that have the time to do that. And good for you, but it's just not my cup of tea. And, being able to watch some few internet skits on my lunch break at work and an episode every week and stay along with the program. And they're actually telling a story.
Right.
It doesn't just get thrown out the window and abandoned for no reason.
Is there anybody that just came out, like they've just kind of started to hit their stride in like maybe the last year that you've noticed that you were like, wow, man, where'd this guy come from? Because I have one guy. I'll tell you mine after if you have anybody. Even it could be a local guy that even surprised you that like, wow, this kid got good.
It's incredible how far Christian Casanova's come. JT Dunn.
Yep.
And, I've watched him since he was one of the first people I met in wrestling.
Right.
And, a lot of people, used to say negative things about him back maybe
Great wrestler.
10 years ago. And looking back, some of those were warranted.
Yep.
But he's always been a great guy to me. And he's learned a tremendous amount in the 10 years he's been around and how to round himself as a person, like I said about John Walters. And that's what's important about wrestling. You need to be an adult in this business. And too many people aren't an adult in this business.
Right. And I think you're right on that. Because I've just, as a fan, you've always heard that about JT Dunn. But I mean, just to watch his last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So
totally different.
Those are probably my two that throughout the 10 years I've actually been doing it. It's been cool to see progress. Like Christian came in out of nowhere. You know what I mean? 2016, like, just right to the top, and he deserves it. That kid works hard.
Yeah, he does.
He's proof that everything you put into wrestling, you get back.
Nice. Okay. Kevin has one more question. If you could do it all over again, we had talked about this off air just before we started. What would you do differently? Not that, but if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I got very frustrated because I was very young, and I went from putting everything what I thought was, everything into it. And I was, like I said, only a sophomore when I started.
Right.
So I missed a lot in high school. I don't want to say I would have waited until after high school, but I probably would have waited to go full speed on it until after high school and take all the bookings and try and that way I would have been able to travel more. I would have been smarter, like I said, being an adult. But just doing it when I was a little older and wiser.
Right.
Which is, like I said, maybe why, it's not off the table for me to do it again.
Right.
But it's hard. Like I said, I go out and I take a few bookings and I love doing it and I love being around certain people, but then I see some people and I'm just like,
Right.
And I'm too blunt. I'm too honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna piss the wrong people off. And in wrestling, you have to be humble. You have to be able to keep your mouth shut. And I'm just learning in my old age. I'm not now. If I see stupid, I call stupid. And,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, well, sometimes better to be outspoken.
Yeah, probably not.
All right. Dave Forney has a couple questions. Who in New England would you like to wrestle?
I've wrestled the previous two we talked about.
Yeah.
Say Alec Price.
Yeah.
I'd like to wrestle Alec Price.
So you haven't wrestled Alec yet?
No. I've been in the ring with him mildly for like maybe 10 minutes.
Right.
Especially when he was first starting out.
He's definitely working his way up.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Really good.
That's all I can really think of.
Right.
Okay.
Who do you consider was your toughest opponent or toughest opponents?
Anybody that had to carry me through a match, good for them.
All right. He also has two more. Do you think that wrestling can resume safely even without a vaccine?
I mean,
is everyone going to even take the vaccine?
Well, first of all, his question's insinuating that independent wrestling was a safe place to ever begin with.
Right.
But that's a stretch. So, but I get what he's saying. Obviously, he's referring to COVID.
Right.
I think it's going to be sad to say, but a long time before the world is fully there. And I wish I could say that tomorrow, but especially going into the winter, it's probably not the best idea.
Right.
I've looked into doing stand-up comedy. My plan was to do stand-up comedy before the whole pandemic hit.
Yep.
And not that the pandemic was the thing that really took it off the table, but if you look into it, it's different now. Even if you get a crowd, say at a drive-in, that's a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
wrestling needs an atmosphere.
Yes.
And you can't do that in a spaced out facility with,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Sure, people are going to do it. It's
Yeah.
going to be good, and there's going to be content that gets put out, and that's great.
Right.
That should continue. But the whole live aspect of going to a wrestling show, like I really think you have to be a diehard fan.
Okay.
It's not something you can, like I have a lot of friends that weren't wrestling fans, but hey, there's a bar.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Let's go.
Right.
We'll go to the bar, get 5 drinks. It's probably VFW prices anyway.
Which
So
is great.
you know, and then we'll go to the bar. The show's over by 10 o'clock. Then we'll
Yep.
go bar hop. It's a good
Right.
place to pregame. You just don't have that anymore. You won't have that for a while.
Yep.
But you'll still have the diehard fans that want to go see the local
Anything.
independents,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. And good for wrestling.
Right.
But I don't think you're making money as a promoter for a long time.
No, I don't either. But I've been to 3 shows
Yep.
since the pandemic.
Were they all outside?
No. 2 of them were.
Okay.
Troopers.
Yep.
You know, I went down Cater Farm. Jimmy. I love Jimmy.
And that's cool. Wrestling outside,
Yep.
you can
And-
have a
and
cool
he
environment.
did everything that you were supposed to do.
Yep.
With the separation, you're walking around, you put your mask on, you're sitting in your seat cheering, you can take your mask off.
Yep.
Simple, you know. And he did a great job twice. And then I went to
APW.
APW was
Yep.
in Derry.
I heard the show was good.
show was good. There was 100 people there.
How was
A
the
lot of people
atmosphere?
sitting on their hands though because it wasn't their regular crowd. Because trust me, I usually do the concessions
Yep.
for APW, and their crowd in Newburyport is rabid, dude.
So the crowd didn't come down from
No,
Newburyport.
maybe 20 guys did,
Yep.
including myself. You know
Yep.
what I mean? To me, they just didn't have their fan base. If they can get their fan base there, that's great. But it's also
It's hard
They
running-
only gave them a 4-hour window to set up, do the show, and break down. They wanted more money. So I think they had a show penciled in for November, but I think they canceled it that night
Yep. That's probably not a
because,
bad idea.
you know, it's just ridiculous.
I've actually wrestled there at the Sports Center.
Okay.
I didn't run a show there, so I can't speak on it. But it's a nice building. But running
Yeah, it was.
running wrestling in New Hampshire is very hard.
Right.
A lot of people that are watching this probably don't even know there's a commission up here.
Yes.
That's why we don't
you
have
to
it.
get a license.
Yeah, not only do you have to get a license, say you wanted to run a show.
Yep.
If I wanted to wrestle
Yes.
Brandino Davis, me and Brandino Davis now have to each get a $50 license.
Yep. And it's $50 now, right?
And were you paying us $50? You probably weren't even
Probably
paying us
not.
$50. We were lucky if you were paying us $50.
Right. And it would be worth it if all people were promoting in New Hampshire. And
Yes.
If,
If
there
there
was
was-
20 shows.
If there
for
was
you to do a
25
year-
shows, yeah, I'd easily get a license.
Yeah.
I'd love for there to be wrestling
Exactly.
in New Hampshire.
Right.
I've heard people, not to put anybody's name on it, but speak that they want to get wrestling in New Hampshire
Yeah.
again. And people have done it. There's been more shows probably in
Right.
the past 2 years than
Yeah,
ever before.
Brian Malonis and Tom
That's
Sobel
that's
did
who
that one.
that's who I was trying not to attach their name, but
Exactly.
I saw
Yeah.
Sopel, not Sopel, Malonis even
Yep.
write that he wanted to continue to try and bring it to New
Yes.
Hampshire. So if he's successful, good for him.
Right.
You know, anything I could ever do to help him, you know, if he's watching,
Yeah.
be more than happy to.
He's a great
Any
guy.
way,
too.
shape, or form. Brian,
Seriously. My
I've-
favorite wrestler in New
Brian was on, like I said, Cold Fury 3.
Yeah.
So I've
Right.
known, you know what I mean? I've known who
Yep.
he was at least for
Right.
17 years now. And he's always been, his brother Jimmy has been nothing but good to me. Not that Brian
Nice
hasn't,
guy,
but
too.
yep. Jimmy is, Jimmy's one of the few people in New England that remembers my father.
Oh,
Because my dad used to take me to a lot of chaotic shows before he
cool.
passed. So Jimmy's brought up, you know, a few times like in locker rooms, like he'd be proud of you and stuff. So that's cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I always appreciated that from Jimmy. But the Malonis brothers have always been really good to me.
Nice. I guess they're great guys. I've known
Yeah, they
Brian
are.
since he
They are.
started.
I'm glad he's getting some
Yes,
success right now.
Me too.
It's good to see him
Yeah.
getting his name on a national level.
And that team is perfect for him. Like, and the Beers.
It's funny, 'cause-
it's a fun gimmick. for
yeah.
him. You know, and it's a real gimmick, though. If you look at them, like, I know Brian's very intelligent. And he's
Yeah.
probably never going to have to be a bouncer.
But
man,
he
oh,
could,
man,
yeah.
would he make a great
He
one,
could, yep.
right?
He
He'd
could.
make a great bouncer.
I'd hire him and Jimmy for my bar any day.
Absolutely. All right. So let's see. Last question from Dave Fournier. Do you think your size hurts or helps you?
So it's back to what I was talking about
Yep.
when I said it was different 10 years ago because my size was special.
Yeah.
I was able to be a gimmick. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Kind of like the
Yep.
Marco Stunt thing, but
Yep.
less. And it's funny because people ask me like, oh, you must love Marco Stunt. Hate him.
Do you really?
Hate him. I look at him and I don't know if it's because we're probably the same size. I've never met him.
Right.
But I imagine we're the same size. So we probably look the same when we wrestle. But I also never thought I should have been on TV, if I'm being honest.
Right.
Unless it was the right spot. Maybe a James Ellsworth type of thing.
Okay.
But never a presentable form of offense, I think, should have came from me on a national level. I think I can speak great.
Yeah.
You know, but I always think I had the spot where I ran my mouth, you came out, handed me my ass, crowd went nuts. It works great. You know, I can make your offense look great. I can do a few flips if you need me to.
Right.
But yeah, my size doesn't mean anything now. I'm just another guy.
Right.
When you have guys like Keith Lee doing what my offense would have been to mean something, does it mean anything when I do it, or does it mean more when Keith Lee does it? Right. Or does that make it mean less? Or I just stopped caring at a certain point and really stopped taking bookings. And, you know, people like, you ever hear oh, did you retire from wrestling? No, I didn't make money. You walk away. You understand?
And you probably never retire. Like, no wrestlers really. Yeah. I don't know that has ever really stuck to it. Maybe Bruno after the mid-80s when he worked for WCW.
I did an indie show with Bruno in 2012. So Bruno worked until the day he died. So.
Dude, I met Bruno once, man, and he was incredible. He was at a place in Woburn.
Yep.
And it was me, my friend Kevin, and my youngest daughter, Sarah. And we asked if we could get a picture, but we only paid to get an autograph. And Bruno says, yeah, the guy that was there goes, no. They didn't pay. Bruno stands up and goes, you kidding me? They came to see me. Come on.
He's a good guy.
He was awesome. He was so great. Is there anybody else that would surprise me that you've been on shows with? Because I really didn't know that.
I mean, I've been on shows with a lot of different people. I've been lucky that I worked for the MWF for a few years.
Right.
I got to sit and talk with Paul Bearer. I was on a show with very random. I'll drop that. I dropped that name. Jimmy Wang Yang as well. Apparently, I smelled like that thing we were speaking about earlier.
Yep.
And he looked at me and asked if I had any more.
Of course he did.
And I said, of course I do. And he said, well, let's go. And I said, now? You wait 3 matches from the main event. You're about to go, in a cage with Mike Kanellis. I said, it's not going anywhere. And he said, trust me, let's go. They can't have the match without me. So I was like, very valid point. I actually used the same excuse the day of my wedding.
Right.
I wanted to keep hanging out with my groomsmen, one of them was freaking out. They can't start without me.
No,
that's the beautiful thing about being important at something. They can't start without you. So, I got to partake with Jimmy Wang Yang.
Yeah.
That was fun. Just talking to Paul Bearer.
They say he was a wicked nice guy.
Oh, he was
to everyone.
He was so genuine.
Yeah.
He was so genuine. I said something.
I met him at those, but just in line. Yeah. Got pictures and stuff.
I said something making him laugh. I think Jimmy Malonis, not to throw him under the bus, he wanted to give me an enziguri.
Yeah.
But Jimmy's a big guy.
Big guy.
So me being very green, I didn't know how to tell Jimmy. Right. Nowadays I'd look at somebody and say, there's no way you're kicking me in the head.
Be doing that
so we call most of the match, and I guess I just had a look on my face because I said something. And he went, you're not really going to let that fat kid kick you in the head, are you? And I went, how do I get out of it? And he went, who trained you? And I pointed to Jay, and he went, go talk to him. Okay. So I walk up and I went, Jimmy wants to kick me in the head. Paul Bearer thinks it's a terrible idea. And Jay goes, what'd you say? And I said, I don't know, I'll hold your foot while you kick me in the head. Right. And Jay was like, no, go talk to him. So in the corner's just Paul Bearer laughing. Jay, you can't kick him in the head. Right. It's too small.
That's hilarious. Now, you worked a lot for the MD Rep, so they had a lot of great guys come through there. Yep. Not just do a one-off either.
Yep.
Like Jay Lethal was there for a few shows.
Yep, we had Jay Lethal. I've met Jay actually when I went to MWF shows as a kid. He, not going to give the whole story, but let's put it this way. He went out of his way to be very nice to a kid that probably didn't deserve it.
That's awesome.
So he was always, a favorite wrestler of mine.
Yep.
But I was actually never on any shows with Lethal that I can recall.
Right.
But I've definitely met him a handful of times. Always been nice to me.
Yeah.
But I got to drive Sean Waltman somewhere for MWF.
Oh, that's cool.
Just because
that's definitely must have been an experience. Was it the messed up Sean?
No, but I felt terrible because me and Jay assumed he smokes.
Right.
He's Sean Waltman.
Yeah, he's done it.
So
his whole
Jay's
life,
like,
right?
you know, I'm going to roll the fattest joint I can for Sean Waltman.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Sean goes, you know, he insists Jay gets the front seat.
Yeah.
I'm like, at that point, I'm like, Jay, you need to drive the car. I'm not driving the car. Just drive the car. So now I'm in the passenger seat, and Jay, without asking, starts. So he goes, oh, I can't. I'm on, probation.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this is really awkward. But like, he's like, but no, he was not. He was like, he's like, but it smells great. Keep going. I have spice. And I was like, oh, that sounds awful, man. And he goes, it is.
Right.
So that was like a funny moment. And I was like, well, at least he's doing the right thing,
Right.
But then he couldn't drink at the Kowloon, and I was only 19.
Right.
So people kept offering to buy him drinks.
Right.
And he knew that they couldn't serve me because they had marked me.
Right.
But he just kept handing me drinks.
So he
just kept handing me the free drinks he got. He was nice about it.
That's awesome.
He understood the situation. So
that's very cool. I love seeing he's got his podcast. I've been listening to it.
He's
really
a good listen.
He's got a nice little crew with him.
All right, now that I've dropped some names, do we have any more questions?
I think we got one more, but we're definitely going to go back to the names because I'm curious because I went to a lot of those MWF shows. Dan Bollier wants to know, what do you think of independent promoters taking digs at other companies on social media? You must have seen the things that have gone on between Sheldon and New England All-Star Wrestling. And then I think, and I love Sheldon, this is no knock on anybody, but I guess he took shots at Limitless and their TV or, internet show, The Road, and had some very negative things to say.
I debated how I was going to answer this. And if I was going to stay politically correct, but we'll basically start a segment called Watch Me Never Get Booked for New England Championship Wrestling right here. I like Sheldon.
I do too.
And I really do. And that's not just a cover up to say what I'm about to say, but you've been running shows for 20 years. Your only success has been at the hands of somebody else funding that. You run no shows in 3 years, and then you're going to come on and talk about one of the most successful companies in New England.
True.
And granted, I don't think the product that he was referring to looks fantastic.
Right.
But I've been to NECW shows because I used to do the ring rental with Jay.
Right.
The product that they're putting on in the pandemic is the product that you were putting on pre-pandemic.
Right.
Only this product features good wrestling. So how are you going to talk negatively about a superior product when you haven't been able to produce a product in 3 years? Every locker room spiel I heard was, oh, we're going to get this, that, and the other thing. Never got it.
Right.
I like him. He's a wrestling historian.
Yes,
he knows a lot about wrestling. He's a nice guy.
Yep.
But to sit there and take digs about the company that, let's be honest, you envy and wish you were, it's childish. And it makes wrestling look sad. Because then you're going to rent out a VFW hall. You're going to draw 40 people. And the VFW hall is going to go, independent wrestling is not worth our time. Right. Just be a wrestling historian. Have your opinion.
Yep.
But, your brand's dead. Just keep it dead.
Right.
It's, I'm not trying to be negative. But you're going to come on and talk. Somebody in New England needs to say it. And that's how I feel. Yeah. And unfortunately, you gave me a platform and I debated, do I say it or do I stay politically correct? This is what I think when I see it. Yeah. So I'm going to say it and I'm not afraid to say what I think. Yeah. It's disgusting. It's childish. And you're making independent wrestling look terrible when you act that way.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's grow up and know our place in the line. Like me.
Right.
When you said I was a professional wrestler at the beginning of this, I almost laughed. Okay. No. I can bump, I can feed, I can sell. But there are people that are working and giving their blood, sweat, and tears legitimately. That's not a phrase to this. Yeah. Those are professional wrestlers. Right. I can get in the ring and I can work. That doesn't mean that I am a professional wrestler. That means that at one point I trained. Yeah. I got the proper training. Some people don't even do that and call themselves professional wrestlers nowadays.
There's been a lot more untrained wrestlers in the past. Some that have sat in that seat right
So you just need to know your spot.
Right.
That's all wrestling is know your spot. There's one of us in New England that has the right to say anything right now. Anthony Green. You know why? Because I used to sit with that kid when he was a referee and he was out of shape and people would make fun of him.
Was it like 13, 14
And I'm not
years
dropping
old?
another name.
No,
you know,
I
he's a great
You've been
kid.
around all these
And
guys
you know
a
what
long time.
And
Joe.
we used to sit and he used to say things like, I don't get taken seriously.
Right.
I'm just going to be a referee. Maybe I should quit. And that's not something he says for a documentary. That's something that at 17 years old he contemplated. Because that's not a joke, people pissed in his gear bag. So if anybody has a right to say anything in New England, it's one person who's gone through every single thing you need to do right in New England. Not New England, wrestling.
Right.
He's taken it like a business. He's taken care of his body. He's marketed himself correctly. He's treated people with respect, and he's learned lessons along the way.
Yes.
And he is the only one that's been able to do that from the absolute bottom to the absolute top.
Right.
And he's only got further to go. So
Absolutely.
in my opinion, unless you've done that, shut up, take your booking at the VFW and enjoy your spot and enjoy that you are able to get in the ring and do what you love. And I'm not knocking people that aren't trained or, you know, I have my opinion on it. In working for certain companies that I am now, I wrestle with people that aren't trained.
Right.
I've read in like the guys from, what's the one in Manchester?
WH.
Okay. I'm not going to knock them. I'll knock one of them because of the way they acted.
Okay.
And I'm not going to name his name, Frank Bones.
Frank Bones. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's all right. Name him. That's fine.
Well, very nice people. They welcomed me into their facility. I trained with them when they had Coach Hollow there. And they're very respectful kids.
Okay.
They want to learn.
Yep.
You can tell that they're new to the learning and the actual way and not just the trying it. And that's fine. But then my problem is they start talking online a certain way and you try to tell them, hey, this is how promoters are going to look at you. If you're talking about, I'll give the example of, and I'm not going to say wear your mask, do this, that, and the other thing, but here's my thing. So there's a mandate and an order put in place. Whether you believe in it or not, that's fine. But if you're not going to wear your mask and you're going to be in a business where your sole intention is to keep somebody safe, just shut your mouth.
Right.
Because I went to bat for this specific person.
Yeah.
And then I get promoters going, look at this kid. He doesn't even care enough to keep the people around him safe. You want to get in the ring with him? Well, now I look like an idiot.
Right.
So there's more to the training aspect of wrestling than getting in the ring.
Yeah.
And it's learning, like I said, learning how to present yourself as an adult. And I didn't message him and say, you wear your mask, you look like an idiot. Told him, this is what I've been told.
Yeah.
Then you want to come at me like you have all the answers. That's fine. You have all the answers. And you want to tell me you're a better worker than me. Well, I've gotten tryouts with companies that are on national TV. You wrestle for a basement.
Right.
Okay. I'll just leave the whole conversation at that.
You can leave it right there.
And I think what they're doing, they have a facility. I'm not going to, if they want to give their location, that's fine. They can plug it.
Yeah.
I believe House of Carmine is the page.
Okay.
And it's a great facility. And I'm all for wrestling facilities opening up. I think that the more, the better. But when people that have been around are offering you advice, don't spit in the advice's face.
Right.
That's my only point.
And that
in
goes
wrestling.
against all about being trained to be a wrestler, showing the respect.
There's
That's
a lot
like-
more than learning to take your bumps, learning to sell, learning to feed, and learning to stay safe in the ring. Right. It's a business.
Yes.
If people said, if you're not in this to win the world title, what are you in it for? Well, at the end of the day, I'm sorry if I sound greedy, but what do you want the world title for? To be a mark for yourself, or do you want to make money? Yeah. Pick one.
Should be all about money if you're doing this for a living.
Yeah. If you don't want to do this for a living, that's cool. That's fine. There's places.
Plenty of people
there's
that
places.
Do that. Yeah.
Also, find the happy medium. Get trained.
Yes.
Find the places. Don't buy a ring and break both your legs in the backyard.
Great segue. Now, you guys, most of you must have seen this video of a kid coming down. He comes down to the ring. He goes around. It's in the backyard.
Don't turn your back on the wolf pack, I believe, was the
All right.
The music
See, I didn't
playing.
even know that.
The tune into which the legs snap.
Yes, the kid climbs up to the second row.
And you know what, Leo?
That was just incredible.
Not to cut you off, it's
all right.
almost a freak accident where I don't want to say, don't wrestle in the backyard.
Right.
Because every single one of us has climbed to the second rope and every single one of us has jumped down. And you don't always check the ring.
Right.
You should know that ring is going to spring, but your legs do weird things.
Yeah,
so I'm not even going to say this kid was untrained and he deserved what he got. That would be awful.
Because I don't
Nobody deserves. I actually listened to a podcast with his sister today.
Okay.
He's facing amputation in one of his legs, which is awful. It's completely
You're right,
awful.
That's awful.
There's a GoFundMe like we talked about prior to the show. He's got $19,000. I checked it out actually before I left my house.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome, but here's my big problem. He doesn't have health insurance.
So he needs more than that.
Yeah,
Hopefully it'll just
he
keep
needs
going.
more than that, but you can give the guy the $2,000 goal. You don't get a brain
Right.
3 weeks ago.
Right. No,
What kind of person, and I'm sorry if there's probably 100 wrestlers, if I'm lucky, if 100 people are watching this.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's
Very
probably,
lucky.
there's
They're
probably,
not watching it now because I don't go live anymore.
there's probably 100 people hearing this, but that are in this situation. But if you're a professional wrestler without health insurance, if you want to fight about it, my inbox is open, and I'll give you my address, and you can come knock me out. But you are the stupidest of stupid, and I've done it when I was 17. I didn't renew my Mass Health or whatever it was, and I didn't have insurance, and I didn't know better until 3 years ago when I cut my thumb off, and I got to the hospital. Yeah. And that's a great way to find out, because the bill to cut you, evaluate it next time you get a hospital bill. I paid like $18 for gauze. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So get the health insurance.
Right.
For whatever reason, whatever it costs you.
Yep.
Because especially if you're going to step into a ring. Because this kid didn't have health insurance.
Yeah.
And, God forbid they do amputate his leg.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have health insurance, he'll be lucky to get a wooden peg.
Yeah. No, but it was bad.
It's
couldn't
awful.
believe it. It
Both
was
of his
horrible.
legs snapped, and it's awful. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No,
Trained,
neither.
untrained.
Right.
Backyard WrestleMania. No. Nobody should get hurt. I've been in the ring when people broke their leg.
Oh, really?
And it is awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. Because
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Clothesline. I didn't clothesline a kid. I was in a tag match, but the kid got clotheslined right outside the ring, and he landed like that. And, he made the sound. Yeah. And it's just awful. There's no other way to say it.
There was a few guys around here that it happened to, right? Brad Hollister it happened to, right? TK O'Ryan.
Yep. TK O'Ryan on national.
Yeah.
Right on pay-per-view, too. That's got to be the worst.
That night,
I think they were in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I know that, but I think they were in Vegas. I could be wrong.
I haven't seen much. I mean, obviously, of anybody, but
yeah, I've seen it.
I know Vinny broke away from the Kingdom.
Okay.
Vincent.
Yep.
And I would have, if you have been around Vincent, might as well bring him up real quick, just with, because seeing it was just Halloween and he's the horror king.
See,
and unbelievable stuff he's got going on.
I've seen a little bit of it. I've been around Vinny Marsaglia back in the day.
Yeah.
But I always knew he liked the horror movies, so it doesn't surprise me.
Right. But he was doing great things, and hopefully when everything picks back up again, he won't miss a beat. Just bringing him up. He's local and he's doing great things too. I think we already ask this one. Do you like companies still trying to put out content during this pandemic?
Yeah, as long as the content is, there's ways to do it. Right. I don't know if you've seen The Masked Wrestler.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's
on IWTV.
I don't want to say it's fantastic. The concept is good. The production could be a little better, I think, in my opinion. But it just proves that you don't need 3,000 people to put on a product and make something watchable. I know GCW does those shows in Atlantic City outdoors.
Game Changer Wrestling.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of doing something because I've been to Atlantic City a few times. I like it down there. It's and it is safe. I actually know the spot and they do the shows and it's beautiful. It's right along the ocean and you can spread people out, and that's outdoors. But going into the winter, I really don't think,
because everything has to be inside.
Here's the thing. I'm not against doing anything. I think everything should be open. Everything should be available. But if you want to go and you don't want to go, don't go.
Right.
But here's my problem: is it's already hard. Whether promoters want to say they make $1,000 a show
Right.
or admit they lose $1,000, it's hard to make money running a show in wrestling.
Oh, of course it is. Definitely. I know that. That's why you ever see me run a show?
There's a lot more than people even begin to realize.
Yeah. If you plan on losing money before you ever start making money.
The amount of people that I've seen strike out and start big.
Yeah.
We actually met at a show where some money Mark started out.
Lowell at the beer place, right?
Yep. I
tried to talk to that kid so much.
I did, but I didn't. He was actually how I met Jason Rumble and got into the Bell Time Club was that show.
Nice.
But he, for some reason or another, asked me to help him at a chaotic show. And we spoke a lot online. And, we're not going to use the last of our time to speak on the MCW debacle, but, that was a fun night.
That was a fun night. Because I really know all about that
shout
night, too.
Shout out to Joey Eastman, because he honestly got me through that night. I was talking to somebody recently about that.
Don Vega left in an ambulance that night.
See, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I've been told that, but I don't remember
Two kids called me crackheads.
Yeah.
So I went over, I was going to
because you sold VHS.
I had VHS
which I honestly thought was hilarious.
Yeah, and I had them, might as well put them out.
And I think Jay had to talk you off of smacking him.
Jay, and there was somebody else too. Might have been both.
I don't remember specifically,
but it definitely I do.
But I remember thinking, wow, he really likes VHS. Yeah. If he's going to defend him that much, good for him.
It was just the arrogance of the kid. You know what I mean?
I remember it. I remember
he could say anything he wants.
Did. I mean, he did say like, who sells VHS in 2012 or whatever.
That's what he said after it.
And I was like, I turned around and you were being talked off the ledge.
Oh yeah, I wanted to kill him. I told them both of us. I said, I'll take you both on right now.
I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, that was a crazy night. Can I say one thing about that kid? He kept asking me if he could talk, right? So we're talking on the phone, and he says, and on my second show, I'm dude, stop. Go get to your first show, and then
he had the building booked for the second and third show.
He already did.
He had an agreement with them.
He had to go home and get his mother to pay everybody off because his money was gone.
Yeah, he left at a certain point. That was fun.
Yeah. He wouldn't even, Trooper wouldn't even give him the last bowl until he was paid.
Yeah.
Because right when I got there, the last bowl was in the truck and I was talking to Troop. That was nuts. All right. So we talked about the guy that broke his legs. How about we just play the name game for the next 10 minutes?
All right, let's do it.
I know you've been around, like Locke. I know you've been around and stuff. How about he worked a lot for MWF, Slick Wagner Brown.
Oh, I love Slick. He's a great guy. He's a great mind to talk to. Partied with him a few times. He's fun to party with. He's a great person. He's got the school up in Connecticut. I haven't actually been down, but he's producing a lot of great wrestlers coming out of there. So that's good to see. I think that's something he'll enjoy his training as his career kind of winds down, if that's what he's looking to do, take less bookings. But I know he still wrestles for himself, but
yeah, he's tag team champ with Jay Freddy. That's
nice.
That's a great tag team too, you know. All right. How about Homicide?
Homicide. Never been on a show with Homicide. However, I did get left at a hotel the night before TNA lockdown 2006.
Okay.
And him and Hernandez bought me dinner because they wanted to know why this 12-year-old kid was at the hotel. And I said, well, I came for Fan Fest and I just never left until the end of the night. And I had a ride at like 4.
Yeah.
I told the ride not to come, and then my dad got out of work at like 9. So I just called my dad at work and told him to come pick me up after, which they ended up kicking all the fans out around 8.
Oh, really?
And cool story was Kevin Nash. I saw him walking in and I was like, what are you doing sitting out here? And I was like, they kicked all the fans out. And he was like, he talked to the hotel manager and he was like, I don't know. He says he has a ride coming soon. Can you just stay inside? And so he signed an autograph and took a picture. But but that's my Homicide story is, he bought me dinner that day. A nice guy, very nice guy.
You said 2006. Could it have been later than that? Like
Just the
2008?
maybe.
Because Isaiah was a baby.
The Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle match.
Joe won the title.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I could have my year wrong.
No, that's okay. The only reason why I know is Isaiah was a baby.
Okay.
And Dixie Carter held him once.
Okay.
And then came back twice more to hold him again.
Oh, nice.
Because she was like, oh, I got to hold him again. He's so cute. It was hilarious. All right.
Another fun story about that. Everybody can laugh at me. This will be fun. So somebody comes down from the elevator, and they're bald. And I said, hey, Christopher Daniels, can you sign this for me? And he said, sure. Cool. I just met Christopher Daniels.
Nice.
Then 20 minutes later, Christopher Daniels came down from the elevator. So I don't know who the first guy was, but he signed an autograph as Christopher Daniels.
Right. Oh, really?
But yeah, just the wrong bald guy. Yeah. But I definitely asked the wrong bald guy if he was Christopher Daniels, and he was more than happy to say yes.
Nice. I was asked in Aruba if I was Mike Lowell right after the Red Sox.
Oh, really?
World Series. Yep. And I'm like, no. And Maria's brother's like, should start signing autographs right now. I'm
you say yes. See how many drinks they'll buy you.
I probably should have. That would have been pretty smart. All right. Do you have an Iron Sheik story? Because I know he was booked a couple times for MWF.
Honestly, not one I can tell.
All right. Okay.
He's fun.
Yeah.
He's fun.
A little crazy, right?
Yeah, there's no real gimmick or bull involved.
He's sober now and everything.
Is he?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, for a while.
Because he wasn't then.
No, I believe that.
And great guy. Nice guy. Couldn't believe how much he wanted to party at such an old age.
Right.
But that was quite something to see. And I was only about 3 or 4 months in when they brought him in for like the last time. But he was fun.
Yeah.
I met him once or twice. He was fun.
Nice. The Iron Sheik. Sheiky baby. How about Coach Mike Hollow?
Hollow's awesome. I began to train with him a little bit. Yep. I really only was able to get there one time before the whole pandemic started, right. Which sucks. I'm still in a group chat, which is very knowledgeable with him.
I mean, I think he added me.
Yep, he did actually. Yeah.
I like to read everybody's posts.
Yeah, it's very knowledgeable, especially the days when there's really nothing to learn from.
Right.
But he keeps a great conversation going there. It's probably the best mind to learn from in New England.
Yeah.
Even the people will tell you like, oh, I hated training with Hollow back in the day, but those are the successful people if you look at it.
Absolutely.
You're not supposed to like training
right.
at the end of the day.
And he was in the wrestling business before he trained.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I'm just saying. So it makes him even to look at it and go, wow, he was already there. Didn't have to become a wrestler. I'm
still really close with Damon Darkangelo.
Yep.
So
not a great guy.
Awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. He trained a lot with Hollow, so he definitely recommended I go work out with him. Was the instruction from him, but
speaking of Damon, I mean, I really believe he's one of the best tag team wrestlers.
He is
in New England. I mean, just his teams right off the bat, the Archangels.
Yep.
And the Crown Jewels.
Yep.
With Jason and the Archangels with Steve King.
Steve King, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbelievable tag teams. Seriously, I mean,
2 of the best in New England. Yeah.
Could have been at any level.
The heat the Crown Jewels used to get at the Armory in Quincy was insane.
Dropping the elbow together.
And only matched by the heat Dave would get. DC Dillinger.
The most.
He was a heat seek. And it was, people don't understand it. It was the little things.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was I remember one time, it was the first time they asked me to be a heel. I believe I was coming out to 7 Nation Army.
Right.
And he stopped me. And he said, make them wait. He said, get them to clap. And when you go out there, tell them how stupid they are for clapping. I said, all right, great. So he wouldn't let me go for about 35, 40 seconds into the song.
Yeah.
Made sure everybody clapped. And then as soon as I got there, I knew exactly what to do.
Great entrance him and Eddie had with Sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Gorman. I'm just, how they would just like wait sometimes, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. That was the key.
I was there once and the whole song played.
That was the key, yeah.
And they played it again and waited till like halfway through that before they came out. It was unbelievable. They were hated before. I mean, like literally, they could stand there As long as DC and Gorman were there. Now, I mean, Eddie's great. You know that. One of the greatest wrestlers to ever come from New England. But just the facial expressions, the disdain they'd feel of the fans.
Yep.
Just with the look in their eyes would have people going crazy.
Yep. It was the little things.
Yeah. Absolutely. DC used to have a lot of Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Dan, you've been
DC,
to a
yep.
few, right?
Yep. DC was famous for his parties.
Craziest story from DC's Christmas party. Oh, something that you can tell.
I can't think of something specific, but my favorite thing about Dave, a few times got me to bars I shouldn't have, but my favorite thing was, and I'm guilty of doing it to this day, was he would give you his address if you pissed him off. It was 27 Rear whatever Street, Everett, Mass. Bar closes at 1:30. Be there at 2.
Yeah.
That's just what he would say to people.
Yeah.
And we'd go back to his house and he'd stand on the porch and go, one of these days somebody's gonna show up.
Yep. Maybe.
But
if they're stupid.
it was always a fun party. Nothing crazy, but I remember one time he sent me and do you remember Taka Suzuki?
Yes.
Sent me and Taka Suzuki to the store to get Captain and Coke. And we got there and both realized we were 18 and 20. So we had to walk back in empty-handed.
Oh no!
And
definitely didn't like
the first person I walked into the house was Eddie Edwards.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and why the hell are you holding 2 liters of Coke? Well, that's all we could buy. Dave, you sent 2 minors to the store to get alcohol.
And they went anyways.
Well, Taka didn't speak enough English to tell me before, you know.
Right. You probably thought he was
I said,
21.
go in. You go in. Not me. Show him your passport. I-20. Oh, we have to go home back. And
yeah. Do you remember who ended up going?
I actually think I got, I don't remember, but somebody came and somebody came.
Because he had a lot of fun parties.
Yeah. Anytime after a show in Everett, we usually would, you'd go back to DC's.
Yeah. But, have you read Gorman's book?
You know, I'm guilty of saying I haven't. But one of these days I'm going to learn to read and I'm going to do it.
I know.
It almost seems worth it.
Dude,
I don't know if he has it on tape, but if he has it on tape, I'd love a copy. I swear I'll listen.
I learned how to read through wrestling magazines as a little kid. Obviously, you learned in school, right? But my parents never said no to wrestling magazine because it was one always in my hand.
Hey, there you go. That's better than nothing, right? And I see on Facebook you still have them.
Yes. Almost 1,000.
Hey, that's something.
So that's about the only thing I collect.
Yeah, honestly. Is the magazines.
Yeah. Can you plug yourself real quick?
It's Jay Kilmar on Instagram. Jay Kilmar 94. I don't post a lot of wrestling stuff. My wrestling page is Justin Riker.
Yeah.
That's about it. Otherwise, leave me alone.
Joey, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Leo.
Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.